as a Christian, you have no excuse or reason to compromise. So today I'll share with you a story about a character in the Bible, a man named Joseph. Genesis chapter 39, verse 7 to 21. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, Lie with me. And he refused and said unto his master's wife, Behold, my master wanted not what is with me in the house, and he had committed all that he had into my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither had he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her, or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time, that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there with him. She caught him by his garment, saying, Lie with me. He left his garment in her hand, and fled and got him out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand, that was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house, and spake unto them, saying, See, he had brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me, and fled and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, and he left his garment with me, and fled out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him, and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. So the part of the Bible where I just read is the story of Joseph. Joseph, when he was in the house of his master Potiphar. Now, there is a background story before this time. Joseph had been a favored child. His father loved him so much. He had been the child that his father loved the most. He had lived all his life in affluence, and he was just 17 years old. And his brothers thought something wicked against him, and they took him and sold him to slavery once they got the opportunity to do so. That was a pivotal point in the life of Joseph. That was a point where, seemingly speaking, could break a man, because Joseph woke up one morning as the child of a very wealthy and affluent man, and the next day he was driven in a caravan down the route to Egypt to be sold as a slave to a man called Potiphar. Life is not fair. We sometimes do not always get the things that we deserve. Sometimes in life, there are stumbling blocks like people who will come to you and cause issues that will deter you from moving from one point to the other. Just like in the life of Joseph. Joseph was a young man who had a very promising future with his father, with his parents, back in the land of Canaan. But then something happened in his life and would change the course of his history. So let's move on and see what happened in the life of Joseph. Joseph got to the house of Potiphar. He was favored again. God was with him. Potiphar put upon him all the responsibility because he trusted Joseph. Promoted him to become the next in command in his house. Joseph was favored amongst all the slaves and servants in the house of Potiphar. Joseph became the most favored worker, the most favored employee, the most favored person in the house of Potiphar. Well, life was going on seemingly well for Joseph until something happened again. Potiphar's very wicked wife wanted to commit a very great sin with Joseph. But Joseph, a man full of integrity, knew that it was a great sin before God to do such a thing. He knew that even though his parents were not there with him, even though he could not see God physically, he knew that it was forbidding for him to do a thing like that. So he rejected that offer from the wife of Potiphar. Now, looking at the life of Joseph, you can quickly tell that this young man has gone through situations that are very unfair. First, why would you be taken out of your father's house? Why should you be sold to slavery by your own brothers, by your own siblings, by your own kinsmen? That was the height of unfairness. And secondly, he went from that stage to the next stage and he got to the house of his master. But God elevated him, God gave him favor, and he was there. The wife of Potiphar decided to look at him with that kind of favor. Why should he be in that situation? He could have realized that life is not fair. Life is not fair. But Joseph did not sit back to consider about the unfairness of life. He quickly knew that at whatever situation, whatever point in life that God had placed him, he should do only what is right. So when God places you in the place of authority with certain privileges and responsibilities, you shouldn't take advantage of the people around you. You shouldn't take advantage of the situation and pretend and use it as an excuse to do something that God will frown at, especially as a child of God, especially as a Christian. We should not use unfair situations in our lives as excuse to compromise or to do things that God frowns at. Joseph had the opportunity to do something that would give him a moment promotion or a moment favor in the eyes of Potiphar's wife, but he knew the right thing to do. So he stuck with what was right. He didn't use it as an excuse. He didn't look at his situation. He didn't look at his past. He didn't look at all the burdens all the things that he had gone through as an opportunity to compromise, as an opportunity to take advantage of his situation. He was a man of integrity. God doesn't want you to look at your situation and take advantage of the responsibility that you have, authority that you have, to compromise. God wants you to use every situation that you find yourself for his glory. Just like Joseph, God wants you to stick to his word. God wants you to always stick to his commandments and his laws for you, no matter the circumstances that you find yourself. God wants you to be a child with integrity. God wants you to be a person that people will look at and know that this person has integrity. Joseph's act of integrity at that moment did not save him from the hands of Potiphar. But we can see that didn't deter Joseph to stick to what was right. That didn't deter him from doing what God wants him to do. And that is how God wants us to be as Christians. God wants us to stick to his word, irrespective of the circumstances that we find ourselves. God wants us to be people of integrity. You see, we live in a world where it's very difficult to find people who are people of integrity. We see people all the time taking pride in cheating others, in depriving others, in taking advantage of others. But as Christians, we should be people different from that. We should not be people who are like the rest of the world. We should be people who take pride in holding fast and holding strong to the laws and the commandments of God. We should be people just like Joseph, who in spite of what is seemingly in front of us, we should hold on to what is right. We should be people of integrity. But the story didn't end well for Joseph, because God did not leave him and God had great plans for him. So the seeming obstacle or trial that was before him was nothing compared to the position that God was going to place him. God blessed him afterward, after God has seen his attitude of integrity, such that he became the prime minister in Egypt, the second in command only to Pharaoh. So we see that God does bless integrity, and God wants us as his children to be people who will stick to doing what is right, irrespective of where we find ourselves or the circumstances or situation around us. God wants us to be different from the rest of the world. God bless you till another time.